The night sky over Obodo split open with lightning, though no rain fell. In the village square, flames leapt from overturned torches, and the people scattered in terror. At the center stood Kemi, her hands raised, glowing brighter than the moon itself.
"Please, stop!"
she cried, tears streaming down her cheeks. But the wind obeyed her glow, not her voice. Stalls trembled, dust spun like smoke, and charms shattered in trembling hands. Ajoke screamed.
"She will destroy us all!"
Adunni fell to her knees, clutching her wrapper, her voice breaking against the storm. "No, she is my child, and Obodo's only hope." The forest answered in thunder, its voice heavy with judgment. But beneath the fear, hidden inside the storm, was something else, the beginning of a healing that no one in Obodo could yet imagine. But let me tell you about the day Obodo finally broke apart, only to learn that sometimes what we fear most is the very gift sent to save us.
Before we continue, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss the rest of this story.
The days after the market incident stretched Obodo thin as old cloth. Neighbors who once shared meals no longer spoke. At night, the compound walls echoed with quarrels, husbands and wives arguing over whether Kemi was a blessing to protect or a curse to banish. At the well, two women nearly came to blows. One spat into the water, shouting, "Her glow is an omen. The spirits will punish us if she stays." Another snapped back, "Are you blind? Did you not see the broken calabash mend itself? Is healing now a curse?" The quarrel ended only when Yabo stepped in, arms folded, her voice oily with satisfaction. "Healing today, fire tomorrow. That child will bring more ruin than blessing. You mock my words." Adunni kept to her compound, refusing to step out except for firewood. Each time she walked with Kemi, she felt eyes burning into her back. Stones sometimes rolled across her path, not thrown directly, but placed as warnings. One night, Adewale returned late from a council meeting, his face tight with worry. "The elders are divided," he said. "Some say Kemi is chosen, sent by the spirits. Others demand she be returned to the forest. Ajoke has been gathering those who want her gone. They are many, Adunni, too many." Adunni hugged Kemi close, whispering into her girl's hair, "You will not leave me, not alive, not dead. They will have to tear me apart before they take you." But Kemi was listening. Her small voice trembled. "Mama, am I bad? Why do they hate me?" Adunni's throat burned. "No, my child, you are light. It is fear they see, not you." That night, as the wind moved restlessly through the raffia roofs, Adunni dreamt again of the silk cotton tree where she had first found Kemi. Only this time the roots were wet with blood, and the whisper that had once comforted her now carried a warning. What is given can also be taken back. She awoke with her heart hammering, clutching Kemi tighter than ever. The cracks in Obodo were widening, and Adunni knew soon they would break the village open.
Ajoke was not satisfied with whispers anymore. She wanted action. One evening, as the moon climbed pale above the thatched roofs, she gathered a small circle in her compound, Iyabo, and several men whose ears were quick for gossip and whose tempers were quicker still. She placed a calabash of palm wine between them, her eyes gleaming in the firelight. "Obodo is soft," she said, voice low but sharp. Our elders are too old to see clearly. While they argue, that spirit child grows stronger. If we do not act now, tomorrow may be too late. Iabo nodded eagerly. You saw the god. Water obeyed her hands. What will be next? Fire? Lightning? A man spat into the dust. We should drive her out before she destroys us. Ajoke's smile curved like a blade. Exactly. The council drags its feet, but the people are ready. Fear is ripe. All it needs is a push. She leaned forward, her voice dropping. On the next market day, I will call her out again, and this time we will not let Adunni walk away. Let the whole village choose, Obodo or the spirit child. The group murmured agreement, palm wine warming their courage. Meanwhile, Adunni felt the unease tightening around her like a rope. She noticed the sudden silence when she passed, the quick glances. The children pulled away from Kemi as though she carried fire in her hands. Adewale tried to comfort her. Not all are against us. Some believe she is chosen. But belief cannot fight a mob, Adunni whispered, her eyes heavy with sleeplessness. That night, as she lulled Kemi to sleep, the girl looked up at her with wide, innocent eyes. Mama, why do they hate me? Adunni kissed her forehead, though her own tears threatened. Because they do not understand you, my child, but one day they will. Yet even as she spoke, the wind carried faint sounds from Ajoke's compound, the clatter of calabashes, the hum of voices plotting in the dark. And though Adunni could not yet hear the words, her heart already knew a storm was coming for her child. The night before market day, Obodo could not sleep. Whispers carried through the raffia walls like restless spirits. Some said they had seen Kemi walking under the moon without casting a shadow. Others swore they heard her laughter carried on the wind, echoing across compounds where she had never set foot. Adunni sat awake, rocking Kemi gently, her ears catching every murmur that drifted from the darkness. Adewale paced like a caged man. They are feeding each other's fear, he muttered. Ajoke pours oil, Iabo strikes the match. Soon the fire will catch. Suddenly, a stone clattered against their compound wall. Then another. Then a third. Voices hissed outside. Spirit child! Send her back to the forest. Adunni pressed Kemi tighter to her chest as the girl whimpered in fear. Adewale stormed to the doorway, shouting into the night, Cowards! Show your faces if you are brave enough! But the shadows scattered, leaving only the echo of cruel laughter. By dawn, the market square was alive with tension. People gathered in knots, speaking in low voices, some casting nervous glances toward Adunni's compound. When she finally stepped out, carrying Kemi on her hip, silence rippled through the crowd. Some looked at her with pity, others with open hostility. She walked on, every step heavy, every gaze a stone. Ajoke was already waiting in the square, dressed in a bright red wrapper, her headscarf tied high like a crown. Iabo stood beside her, arms folded, eyes sharp as knives. Obodo! Ajoke cried, her voice carrying across the market. How long will we wait? How long will we pretend this child is one of us when she bends water, breaks clay, and blows like fire? Must we wait until she calls down ruin on us all? The crowd stirred uneasily. Some shouted agreement, others shook their heads, but no one dared walk away. Adunni felt her knees weaken, but she gripped Kemi's hand tight. The child's palms tingled under the cloth, as if the glow inside her already sensed what was coming. The air in Obodo was heavy, trembling, as though the village itself held its breath. And Adunni knew today something would break.
The market was swollen with people that morning, as if the whole of Obodo had been waiting for a spectacle. Drums pounded from one end, goats bleated nervously, and stalls sagged under the weight of yams, peppers, and cassava. But no one was thinking of trade. All eyes were fixed on the center, where Ajoka stood tall, her red wrapper blazing like fire. Adunni entered the square with Kemi, Adewale close beside her. The crowd parted, not in respect, but in fear. Mothers pulled children back, men muttered darkly. Ajoka's voice rang out, sharp and commanding. Obodo people, you saw her hands at the shrine. You saw the water rise. Are we fools to keep pretending this is a child? She is not ours. She belongs to the spirits, and if we do not return her, the spirits will claim us all. The crowd roared, some shouting agreement, others murmuring dissent. Iyabo stepped forward, adding her poison. Baba Ola protects her, but can Baba Ola protect our farms, our children? No. This girl will bring famine, sickness, and fire. Adunni clutched Kemi close, her voice breaking as she cried out, She is not a curse. She is mine, my daughter. The forest gave her to me when the world mocked me. Do not take her away. But Ajoka's smile was thin, merciless. She bent, picked up a calabash, and slammed it into the dust at Adunni's feet. Then let the child prove herself before us all, she shouted. If she is not spirit, let her stand here untouched, and nothing will happen. The crowd leaned in, tense and expectant. Kemi trembled, tears welling in her eyes. She whispered, Mama, I don't want to. Adunni stroked her hair. Don't, my child, do nothing. But the pressure of 100 eyes was too heavy for a little girl to bear. Her hands slipped free from the cloth. She pressed them together in fear, and light spilled through her fingers. The calabash on the ground quivered, then split apart, not breaking, but glowing as if molten from within. Dust lifted in a shimmering wave, wrapping around Kemi like a veil. The people gasped, some falling to their knees, others shrieking in terror. Ajoka staggered back, face pale, but her voice rose above the chaos. Do you see? She calls the spirits. She will destroy us all. The market square erupted. Some shouted for the child to be cast out. Others cried that she was chosen. The noise was a storm, anger, awe, and fear colliding. Adunni clutched her daughter, her voice drowned in the uproar. She knew there was no hiding anymore. Kemi's light had broken free, and Obodo itself was breaking with it. The square boiled with panic. Some villagers pressed charms against their chests, others raised fists, while children screamed and clung to their mothers. Dust spun in the air, glowing faintly around Kemi's hands like living fire. Baba Ola forced his way through the chaos, his staff striking the ground with a thunderous crack. Silence, he commanded, but even his voice could not fully calm the storm. Fear had already taken root too deep. Ajoka stepped forward, pointing at Kemi. Her voice was wild, trembling with both terror and triumph. If we do not act now, Obodo will burn. Cast her out, return her to the forest, or we are all doomed. Cries rose in agreement. Stones were lifted, not yet thrown, but waiting. Adunni fell to her knees, clutching Kemi to her chest, her tears soaking her girl's hair. She is mine, my child, not a curse. Please do not harm her. But then, before anyone could move, the sky itself answered. A great wind tore through the market, scattering stalls and lifting wrappers into the air. The shrine bell tolled by itself, its strike echoing like thunder. The earth shivered beneath their feet. From the forest edge came a sound, a low grumbling whisper that grew until every ear in Obodo could hear. Gift and test. The words seemed to come from the trees, the wind, the very ground itself. Villagers fell flat to the dust, trembling. Some wept, others wailed. Kemi's hands blazed brighter until her whole body glowed like a child carved of moonlight. She looked at her mother, tears streaming down her face. "Mama, I don't want to hurt them." Adunni's sob broke into the wind. "You are not a curse, my child. You are my blessing." The glow pulsed outward in a wave, sweeping across the square. Calabashes mended, broken stools stitched back together, wilted yams swelled fresh again. Where the light touched, ruin turned to wholeness. The crowd gasped, stunned into silence. Even Ajoka staggered back, her mouth open, her voice gone. Then, just as suddenly as it began, the light flickered and died. Kemi collapsed into her mother's arms, exhausted, her glow sinking back into her small hands. Obodo lay in stunned quiet. The market was still, and the people stared at one another, torn between awe and fear. Some bowed their heads, whispering, "She is chosen." Others muttered darkly, "No light comes without shadow." Baba Ola lifted his staff high, his voice steady but heavy. "The spirits have shown us the child is no curse, but Obodo must decide. Will we embrace the gift, or will fear drive us into ruin?" The words hung in the night like a question carved into stone, waiting for an answer.
For a long moment after Baba Ola's words, Obodo stood frozen, caught between fear and wonder. Then slowly, something began to stir. An old woman bent to pick up her broken broom, now whole again from Kemi's light. She held it high, her voice shaking. "This child mended what was lost. How can a curse bring healing?" Another villager lifted a yam, fresh and heavy in his hands, where moments before it had been shriveled. "This is no spirit of ruin," he declared. "This is a blessing." A ripple moved through the crowd. Murmurs shifted from fear to awe. Yet Ajoke and Iyabo, who had shouted the loudest, still stood rooted in shame, their faces pale. Ajoke's voice finally broke, trembling. "Forgive me, I did not understand. I let jealousy blind me." Her knees gave way and she fell in the dust before Adunni. Iyabo too dropped her gaze, her sharp tongue silenced. "I feared what I did not know," she confessed, her voice low. "I mocked your barrenness, Adunni. I mocked your child. Forgive me." Adunni's eyes filled with tears as she looked down at them. She could have turned away, could have let their shame rot, but instead she spoke softly, her voice carrying in the stillness. "We are all tested. Some fail at first. If the spirits can forgive, so can I." She reached out, lifting them both to their feet. Baba Ola nodded slowly, his staff striking the earth. "So it shall be. This child is no curse, but God's gift to Obodo.
And this family, Adunni, Adewale, and Kemi, will hold a place of honor among us, for through them the spirits have reminded us of mercy. The villagers raised their voices, not in fear this time, but in song. Drums rolled, hands clapped, and the market square that had nearly turned to a place of death became instead a place of celebration. Adewale held Adunni's hand, his voice breaking with relief. No longer barren, no longer mocked. And Adunni, cradling Kemi close, smiled through her tears. No longer empty, my house is full. As the night wore on, the people of Obodo danced. The earth that had trembled with fear now rang with joy. And at the center of it all stood Kemi, the little girl once found crying in the forest, no longer hidden, no longer doubted, but embraced as God's light among them. So it was that the barren woman of Obodo was barren no more. What the spirits gave her as a test, she embraced with love, and through that love the whole village was healed. Kemi, once feared as a spirit child, became the proof that light is never a curse. It is fear that curses the heart. Ajoke and Iyabo learned humility. Adunni and Adewale found honor, and Obodo itself was changed forever. For generations to come, the story of the child who glowed was told by firelight, reminding all who heard it that even the strangest gifts may be God's answer to our deepest prayers. Did you enjoy this story? Like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss more tales from Obodo Village, where the ordinary and the supernatural walk side by side.